Welcome back students in our this session, and this is your assignment number 5 of chapter Plant Life Photosynthesis. So here we start with the new topic, structure of leaf, revealing the region of photosynthesis. Now most of the photosynthesis occurs in the leaves of the green plants. This we all know, children, that most of the photosynthesis, this process occurs in the leaves of the green plants. Now the internal structure of leaf is specialized to carry out photosynthesis. Now here we study about the internal structure of leaf, and this internal structure of leaf is specialized to carry out the photosynthesis process. Now the outer layer of the leaf is made up of single layer of cells, and that single layer of cell is known as epidermis. So here I'll show you in the diagram that which layer is known as epidermis. So here you can see that this is the internal structure of a leaf, and here you can easily see the epidermis layer. So this single layer is made, this outer single layer is known as epidermis, this part. Then plastids can be seen just below the upper epidermis in a tissue called the pellicid. You can see here these are the plastids, and the plastids are responsible for the color of the plant. So these are the plastids, they can be seen just below the epidermis. Epidermis is here, and just below the epidermis are the plastids, and the inner tissue, this is a tissue that name is pellicid cell. Now after this there is a layer of loosely packed cells called spongy layer. Now you can see here that these are loosely packed cells, and because they are loosely packed, so that is why they are known as spongy layer cell. Now both the layers are made up of cells which contain chloroplast, which have chlorophyll pigment for absorbing sunlight for photosynthesis. Now you can easily see here the chloroplast is here, and this chloroplast is present here because of absorbing the sunlight, and this sunlight is an essential part of the photosynthesis. Now xylem and phloem tissues are present in the veins of the leaf. You can easily see here that this is the xylem tissue and this is the phloem tissue. So xylem and phloem both are present here in the veins of the leaves. Now the xylem transport water to the cells of the leaf. The function of xylem is to transport water to the cells of the leaf. The phloem carries the food made during photosynthesis to other parts of the plant, and this is the function of phloem, that it carries the food made during the process of photosynthesis to the other parts of the plant. Now the lower epidermis has a small openings called stomata through which gases are exchanged. Now I'll show you in the diagram. So you can easily see here the stoma are there, the small openings are there through which the water through which the exchange of gases takes place, and the excess water also comes out from these openings only. The green plants take carbon dioxide from air for photosynthesis. The carbon dioxide gas enters the leaves of the plant through the stomata present on their surface. Now this we all know that the green plants, they take the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and they use that carbon dioxide for preparing the food for the whole plant, and this carbon dioxide gas enters through the openings, through the small openings known as the stomata. Now the water required by plants for photosynthesis is absorbed by the roots of the plant. So roots are there, the roots function is that they absorb the water which is required for the proper functioning of plants. It is then transported upward through xylem vessel to the leaves, where it reaches the photosynthetic cells and utilized in photosynthesis. Now water, when it absorbs by the roots, they reach to the xylem vessels, and through the xylem vessels it reaches to the leaves, and through the leaves it reaches to the photosynthetic cells, and there it utilized for the photosynthesis process. Now the two raw materials, carbon dioxide and water, are required by the plants to prepare energy food called carbohydrates. Now energy food is known as carbohydrates, and it contains glucose and starch. So these two materials, the carbon dioxide and water, they are required by the plants to prepare the energy food. Now plants also need other raw materials such as nitrogen, phosphorus, iron and magnesium from the soil. Now plants, for their growth, they need some raw materials, some minerals also, like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron and magnesium, and they collect these minerals from the soil. Now this is all about the structure of leaf. Now we come to the next topic, that is site of photosynthesis, chloroplast. Photosynthesis occurs in the organelles called chloroplast, present in the photosynthetic cells or mesophyll cells of green plants. Now here you can see the structure of chloroplast, and I'll explain this structure to you. So this, you all know that this photosynthesis occurs in the organelles called chloroplast. The chloroplasts are minute oval bodies bounded by a double membrane, and their interior contains closely packed flattened sacs of membranes called thylakoids. So I'll show you the double membrane. There are two membranes, one is inner membrane and double membrane. So here you can see the structure of chloroplast. In this you can easily see that it is made up of double membrane. One is inner membrane and the other one is outer membrane. So it consists of a double membrane, and their interior, in the interior of this chloroplast, there are thylakoids, and these thylakoids, they are flattened sacs and they are arranged in the form of a pile. Pile means one over the other. They are arranged in such a way, and these piles, they are known as grana, and they are lined in a colorless ground substance. So this ground substance is here, and on this ground substance they are arranged in the form of a pile, and this pile shaped is known as grana. Arranged in a pile, grana, lying in a colorless ground substance called stroma. This colorless ground is known as a stroma, and the pile that are arranged on this ground substance, that pile is known as grana, and that flattened sac of membrane is known as thylakoids. Ordinarily, there may be 40 to 50 chloroplasts in a cell. The pigment chlorophyll is contained in the walls of thylakoids. It is a highly complex substance composed of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen and magnesium. Now chloroplasts are mainly contained in the mesophyll cells located between the upper epidermis and the lower epidermis, that is in pellicid cells and spongy cells of leaves. So here I'll show you the structure. Here you can see in the diagram the chloroplasts are there, and it is present near the pellicid cells and spongy cells in the leaves. Now these are also found in the guard cells of stomata and in the outer layers of young green stems. So you can easily see these chloroplasts near the guard cells of stomata and as well as in the outer layers of the young green stems. So this is all about the site of photosynthesis, that is chloroplast. Now children, there is an activity for you, and this activity is very important. Now this activity is to show that oxygen is given out during photosynthesis. For this, the requirements are a beaker, a funnel, a test tube, conical flask, pond water, and twigs of an aquatic plant such as hydrola. You have to take few stems of this aquatic plant whose name is hydrola. Now the procedure is that fill some water in a beaker and put the twigs of hydrola in it. You have to take some water in a beaker and then you have to put the plant stems in that beaker. Then keep an inverted conical funnel so that it covers the twigs. Then you have to place the conical funnel so that it covers the plant. Now keep an inverted test tube filled with pond water over the funnel as shown in the figure. I'll show you the figure. In this way you have to make a setup that in a beaker you have to collect some water and inside that water you have to put the hydrola plant twigs. Then you have to place the inverted funnel on this hydrola plant, and over to the funnel you have to put the test tube, and inside the test tube there is a pond water. Now put this apparatus in sunlight and keep it for some time and write your observation. Then you have to put this setup in the sunlight for a few hours and then you have to write your observations. What do you observe is, then put this apparatus in a shaded area and keep it for some time and write down your observation. You have to write down your observation in both the cases, first in the sunlight and then when you kept this apparatus inside the shaded area. Now put the apparatus in a completely dark area and keep it for some time and write your observation. Then you have to place the whole setup in a dark room and wait for a few hours and then you have to observe the things. Now the observations, what you will see is, you will observe that when the apparatus was in sunlight there appeared more number of air bubbles from the twigs of hydrola than when it was kept in a shaded area. Now what do you observe is that when you put this apparatus in a sunlight, you can see the air bubbles there is more in the presence of sunlight as compared when you kept the whole apparatus in a shaded area. Now in total darkness no bubbles appear at all, and when you put the same apparatus in the dark room, in that case you will find that there is no air bubbles. So the inference or the result is that it proves that oxygen is given out during photosynthesis process. So this experiment, this activity proves us that the oxygen is given out during the photosynthesis process. Now the gas collected in the test tube can be tested by introducing a burning splinter or matchstick which burns with a glowing flame, this providing the gas inside to be oxygen. Now this we can make a sure test that the gas which is present, the air bubbles which are present inside the test tube is because of oxygen. If we put a matchstick over there, it will burn with the splinter and this will give a glowing flame, and this will prove that the gas inside the test tube is nothing else, is the oxygen gas only. So with this experiment we can say that the oxygen is given out during the photosynthesis process. Now we come to the next topic, that is significance of photosynthesis. First point is, it is primary source of organic food and energy, that is ATP molecules, for all forms of life either directly or indirectly. So this photosynthesis is considered to be the organic food because the plants, they prepare their food in the presence of sunlight, and this whole process of photosynthesis takes place in the presence of sunlight only. So we depend on this directly as well as indirectly also. Now, excess of sugars produced by photosynthesis are either stored in the form of carbohydrates or starch or used in the formation of other organic compounds. Now, whatever sugar is released during the process of photosynthesis, this is stored in the form of carbohydrate or starch, and this carbohydrate, they give energy in turn, and or either it is used in the formation of other organic compounds. Third point is photosynthesis helps to purify air and also maintains the balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the ecosystem. This also we know that this photosynthesis helps to purify the air and maintains the balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the ecosystem. Fourth point is photosynthetic processes led to the origin of life on Earth. It was believed that about 2 billion years ago, when there was no life on Earth in any form, there was no free oxygen in the atmosphere. Thus, this process, photosynthesis, was responsible for converting the totally anaerobic condition on primitive Earth into the aerobic conditions present now. So earlier it was said that this photosynthesis process is responsible for changing the anaerobic conditions on primitive Earth to the aerobic conditions, and it is present till now. Fifth point is origin of fossil fuels. Now fossil fuels are like natural gas, coal, petroleum, is considered to be the accumulation of organic material which was formed by the deep burial of plants and animals millions of years ago. The energy stored in all these fuels is basically solar energy, and that was trapped and stored during photosynthesis millions of years in the primitive Earth. So this energy is just because of this sunlight, solar energy, and it was trapped and stored during the photosynthesis process, and it was used millions of years ago in the primitive Earth. So with this we finish this chapter, and very soon I upload the next video of the new chapter for you all. Till then, thank you.